It's been a while since we've kind of jumped on here, talk about everything that's going on in Stitch Crew. And boy, has a lot of stuff been going on at Stitch Crew since our last crew update in August. So we just wanted to give you guys a quick recap. Starting in August, we had 3 panels focusing on the future of work and care economy. Those have been uploaded. So if you want to check them out, we had a great one on the future of work. Great conversation there at the Thunder Launchpad to kick us off. We then had another one with Ishwan Godfrey, founder of Appiati. We partnered with the Vest community. So that one is on their podcast. Please be sure to check it out. And then our last one this last month, focusing on the care economy. I don't know if there were any dry eyes in the audience that night. Please go check that out. Those are on our YouTube. We also had a great announcement with the EDA. We were granted a 3-year award with them. Erica, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
If you follow us, you know that we earlier this year, we launched a $20 million fund to invest in women-led companies in the care economy and future of work. That's why we're talking so much about the future of work and the care economy. And the EDA, really the grant is to enable us to support operations on that and to host workshops to further increase awareness on what is the care economy, what is the future of work, what are the companies building in that space. And we're also going to host workshops in partnership with the University of Tulsa to get more women to invest in early stage companies.
Oh, count me in.
Yeah, super excited about that programming. That's also coming online next year.
Speaking of next year, we also, in partnership with the Oklahoma City Alliance, are starting a Latinx Accelerator. We are super excited to be really working with those entrepreneurs from all different types of companies, not just techs, not just startups, but brick and mortar, all kinds of companies. So stay tuned. Those applications will be coming out at the end of this year. Programming will be spring and fall of 2023 and 2024. I think during our last update, I don't know if we had shared this already in partnership, again, with the Walton Family Foundation and FemHealth founders who are here with us. We are starting a Women's Health Accelerator next year. We're so excited to share this partnership with you guys. Applications are open for that. If you know someone, if you're in this space, we definitely want to hear from you. You can go to stitchcrew.com/femhealth-accelerator. Please check it out and apply. With that, as I mentioned, we are working with the FemHealth founders. If you can each just introduce yourself and then just tell us a little bit more about the organization.
I'll kick it off. I'm Elizabeth Pringer, one of the co-founders of FemHealth Founders. Separately, I'm developing a postpartum recovery product to help women recover from tearing, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, all the lovely things that come along with childbirth. The product is called the Assicle because women's asses deserve better.
Yes, they do.
So I'm very passionate about this space and felt very fortunate to connect with April and Natalie as we started FemHealth Founders and trying to figure out how we can provide resources to women like us who are entrepreneurs working in women's health and wellness. A lot of it is similar challenges, which we'll discuss here in a bit, but it's just been really cool to be a part of this community and provide resources to this community that aren't otherwise available. So really excited to be here, really excited to be partnering with Stitch Crew too.
I'm Natalie Hsu. I'm also a co-founder of FemHealth Founders, and I have been working on my own women's health company in the future of work for healthcare space, specifically focused on fertility, dignifying people navigating complex care with better experiences. So working in that space has been such a fun and difficult journey, and getting to create a better ecosystem for women's health founders has just been a pleasure, and getting to work with Stitch Crew, we're so excited about this accelerator launch. And that's me.
My name is April Roy. I am also a co-founder here at FemHealth Founders. I'm also the founder of FemPack, where we take the oops out of unexpected periods by providing accessible period care in every space, menstruating people exist. Our mission is to improve women's health through product policy, education, and community. So I am definitely excited to be here today with my FemTech sisters, and excited to share a little bit about FemHealth Founders and where we are and where we are going. We are a women-led women-centric innovation hub, empowering and elevating female-led companies who are building healthcare solutions for women's health.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
As you all mentioned, you three are all in the women's health space, not just as FemHealth founders, but also as individual founders yourselves. Can you tell us a little bit more about your individual experiences navigating not just that startup world, but also just being a startup in the health space?
It's been interesting, right? Because I am talking about something that a lot of people, particularly men, when we're talking about innovation, and we're talking about women's health, and when we're talking about period, and pitching to them in regards to our solution and why it's needed. When I started this process, I had to build up the courage to go and talk to these people when I realized that there weren't a lot of women who were decision makers here in Arkansas. And so I'll say building up the courage, right, to be able to talk about this, that really helped, but also let me know that we were really behind when we were talking about women's health in Arkansas, and not just my period solution, right? We're talking about women's health in general when we're thinking about, oh, well, I'm the only femtech company at the time. Oh, I'm sure there are other femtech companies out there. They don't know they exist here in this state. And so rallying together with Elizabeth and Natalie, finding them is not just me. And so talking about that and really talking about our experiences going through accelerators and how they were lacking and how people didn't actually have any tangible assets to give us in helping us build our companies. We wanted to be that solution for everyone else.
Meeting April for the first time, I'm like, we death squeezed each other. It was shocking to me when I started this journey about a year and a half ago. Going through my very first accelerator program here in Arkansas. I didn't quite know what to expect. I'd never heard of an accelerator program. There were so many men mentors who had really good intentions, but they didn't understand the pain point of pushing a baby out of your vagina and your vagina ripping open. Like, they didn't quite understand because they'd never experienced it. And so they were just not able to give really good advice as mentors because they didn't understand the problem. They didn't understand the demographic that I was going after. So it was really nice to come together with April and Natalie to kind of commiserate on these experiences and recognize that there are these massive deficiencies in our community that we could fulfill ourselves after we've gone through this really long, intensive experience of launching brands, launching companies, launching services. We have that firsthand experience that's, in my opinion, really important from a founder's perspective versus someone who's just kind of learned about entrepreneurship or studied it in college. And I also had a personal experience way before Assicle. I had a couple of miscarriages before I had my kids. And when I went to my healthcare provider to ask if we could do some testing to determine what was going on, my insurance company wouldn't provide coverage for testing until a certain number of miscarriages. And I think that's when I really started paying attention to how broken the system is around women's health and access to adequate care that we really need. It was just really disappointing. And so I've kind of been on a soapbox for a lot longer than I think I realized around women's health and really empowering women to have access to the healthcare that they need.
I mean, as you can see, it's a complex space and a complex market. Women's health innovation specifically has been niched into this really small category that when I started off, I guess it's been 4.5 years with my business concept around supporting women who deal with endometriosis. I really struggled with the product market fit piece. I mean, there's, as you can hear in this conversation, there's so many problems in women's health. And I truly believe that business innovation is going to move the needle forward a lot faster than our healthcare system, which is incredibly broken. Research is incredibly lacking, less than 1% going to women's health innovation in the pipeline. So we can't just rely on that. But at the same time, as founders, we have to find that product market fit. We have to build marketable solutions. And unfortunately, we're up against a lot of different barriers. And that's, my personal experience in this space. It's hard because that market is still needing to be primed. That category is still needing to be designed and built out. it's a struggle in many ways for, I think, many women's health founders to figure out how are they really going to scale a solution to impact. That's a challenge, but it's all the more reason, that we build this ecosystem of mentors that truly believe in these problems and solving them, but also in improving women's lives, and also respecting the fact that we are the primary, consumers and healthcare decision makers and purchasers. So we deserve to have a say in that market.
Oh, that would be great.
Thank you all for sharing your stories, your individual experiences. I mean, it's so valuable to just hear those. I think a lot of women, not just startup founders, but just women in general, are experiencing so much of the things that you all have just mentioned. Speaking more to the partnership that we're forming in terms of this Women's Health Accelerator, I think you all kind of hit the nail on the head and your own individual experiences in terms of why innovation and fostering more women-led startups in this space is important. As far as from the Stitch Crew side, Erica, can you share more about why we decided to partner?
Stitch Crew is an organization, it's a nonprofit organization that started 5 years ago to really breach the gap that exists for founders in our region, particularly women, particularly entrepreneurs of color. And as we continue to be on the market and hear from entrepreneurs like you guys, we continue to see a couple of gaps that actually continue to get worse instead of seeing improvement, right? One of the areas is funding for women-led companies. We've started talking about this, 5 years ago, and actually funding has decreased for women just year over year. One of the reasons why we launched the fund this year, because we're tired of talking about it. We just have to do something about it.
I'm all in.
And then the other reason, we unfortunately, although we serve entrepreneurs across the nation, we are based in a state where women are not faring very well, particularly when it comes to health. We have the second largest uninsured rates in the country. We have care deserts. Our wage gaps are actually lower than the national average. And then we continue, unfortunately, to pass legislation that makes it harder for women to achieve economic mobility and to access healthcare. And talking to our board and then talking to entrepreneurs out there, we just felt like this was something we needed to focus on. It's on women-led companies in our region and some of the main barriers and gaps. And it's also addressing women's health, which, as Natalie very well points out, it's been underserved, it's been underfunded, it's been overlooked. We can't afford not to. As an organization, if we're serious about closing the wealth gaps for women and people of color, we have to address these issues from a system perspective, right? So that's why I was excited, and I know our board was excited and our team was excited to tackle on this. And then the fact that we came across, thanks to the Walton Family Foundation with FemHealth founders and the work that you guys are doing on a broader perspective, we're very intentional about who we partner with. There is nobody better to mentor other entrepreneurs than entrepreneurs that have done it themselves. We love that your focus is on building community, not just empowering women-led companies, but providing the resources and the networks. So how could we say no? I just can't wait to see what cohort 1 looks like.
I would love to hear your personal story on what is one common myth about women's health startups that you just want to dispel right here, right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how huge the market is. We're half the population. And we go through different phases of our lives. As women, we know this, but when you're pitching, there really aren't women there attending these things. In the beginning, people didn't realize how huge the market was and how much it was unattended to. I've been doing this almost 5 years next year. Now I think people are starting to get it, but even now it's still like the reminder of we're half the population. Don't forget about us.
As I've been developing pitch decks and materials to send out to potential investors, I've been getting a lot of feedback from mentors, both men and women, that it would be offensive to include a picture of the vagina on your deck. I get so frustrated with that feedback, knowing it's coming from a good place because they have experienced pushback But the fact that an anatomical piece of our bodies is considered gross or offensive or not appropriate to show, it's hard to go out and communicate what the problem is. So it's a barrier for us. For me, it's offensive that someone else finds that offensive. I'm having to decide which path do I need to take? Do I shy away from that brand standard of giving women words and showing the actual body parts that they're providing relief for? Or do I take the safer path, like making it more approachable for men investors?
For me, in the beginning, it was showing what an unexpected period looked like. For the longest, people were like, you sure you want to show that? And I did. I recently changed it because I was showing the perspective of who it affected and not how it would happen. That was something that I learned later on, but I would say put it out there.
This is why it's so important to not only build community with other women-led companies in your space, but also having mentors, because you can just have conversations like this and people are going to give you different perspectives, different opinions. But at the end of the day, it's your company. All I will say to you is I think you need to be authentic. Ultimately, the feedback that matters the most, in my opinion, is the one of your customers or potential customers. So ask them.
It's been shocking to learn the lack of women involvement in the healthcare system in general, and also marketing. The stage has been set for so long that men are in these leadership positions to make the policies around healthcare, to make the best practices in hospitals, to write the medical books. It's time for more women to get involved in that process to kind of catch up. Specifically in women's health, it's been really surprising to see how much has been created by men and dictated by men that impacts women.
And that's something that's, majorly missing is representation in clinical trials, in research settings, and women's innovation-driven research and researchers, funding for that research. And it all impacts the innovation pipeline. There's only so much, there's a lot of solutions out there for things that aren't going to be adopted well in healthcare if there isn't research to back the outcomes. And that's just the case. There are lots of things on the CPG side and the consumer space that can be spun out, but some of those things, while incredibly important and valuable in the market, may not have a massive impact on women's health. And so we've got to figure that piece of it out. Endometriosis is a great example. People have been trying to figure out how we can diagnose this condition at an earlier stage before all these massive healthcare costs start piling up and problems that women face because of it. Probably what much more impactful are things like cervical cancer, ovarian cancer, things that actually kill you if you don't address them. I think you're going to see more and more innovation around those things popping up. It's going to change the face of women's health. We already live longer than men, but we could probably live a lot longer if we had basic healthcare needs met. I always give the example of Viagra. Viagra was one of those things that men identified a problem with their physicians. Physicians went, this is a problem. We're going to solve this today. And they spun out a product, a pharmaceutical to solve men's, erectile dysfunction. And that all happened within a very short span of time. It's really sad to think that that's never happened in women's health.
There's just so much to uncover. I'm sure we could have like a whole few sessions on just this alone. We continue to see it in all sorts of industries and in all sorts of levels, the lack of women decision makers, the lack of women input. This is one of the reasons why, of course, we partnered with FemHealth Founders. I hope everyone sees that. There's so much similarities in terms of mission and value. We believe from day one that good founders and companies come from all over the country. I think that's another thing we can talk about is we really are still overlooking this part of the country. We're in Oklahoma. You guys are based in Arkansas. FemHealth Founders is invested in building this women-led and women-centric innovation hub in Arkansas, in the Heartland. Why does FemHealth Founders think it's important, especially when it comes to the women's health space? And I think we already talked about it a little, but would love to hear more thoughts on this.
It's so important to start, I think, with people who have acute needs and who aren't, kind of like fattened up with all the opportunities and options and networks in the world. because those people honestly bust their ass like harder than the people who do have all the opportunities and options. And I say that because we're in an area that is such a desert in terms of like women's health, Arkansas being in the bottom 3 with maternal health outcomes, maternal mortality rates, economic mobility being a massive issue here, and very acutely felt in some of the regions across the state more than others. And Heartland focus, like understanding that we had a lot of opportunity here to grow. When you look at like the coastal areas where there's so much opportunity there, and that's where everyone's flocking, but you're starting to see this sort of shift to focusing and deploying capital in these areas that are underserved. And we feel like this is the time to launch that. And people are starting to move to areas like this. And you're seeing a lot of the ecosystem built out. I mean, what you guys are doing with Stitch Crew, the many other partners that you have and that we have in these regions. I mean, we're just getting started.
We're in the backyard of the largest CPG retailer in the world. So if we're wanting to test out products that impact women and women being the primary consumer of those products, it makes sense for it to be here.
This region, thinking about healthcare in general and what that would look like for Northwest Arkansas. And so I feel like we're on the ground with those decisions being made. That's just going to open our founders up to a plethora of opportunities. So I'm excited about that part because we got a real great opportunity to be a blueprint on how to innovate women's health.
We do have listeners and followers from all over. We've had founders from all over the nation. So what is it that you want people to know about Arkansas or the Heartland in general that they're missing out on?
One, you can kind of be a big fish in a smaller pond here. So that's one, huge advantage here. It's like you're going to have a fleet of people come around you and say, let's help you figure this out. Let's help you with customer acquisition. Let's make connections for you, introduce you to investors.
Sounds amazing.
The people here really do want to see you succeed. They are willing to open up their networks and make connections on your behalf without really expecting anything back. All throughout the Heartland, people are really motivated to see entrepreneurs succeed.
Northwest Arkansas has been amazing in regards to community. People actually leave their doors open, unlocked. It's weird. And so it's amazing. And I probably shouldn't say that out loud. Everybody is so supportive when it comes to building companies here. You're always 1 degree from somebody that you probably shouldn't know. Yeah, one of the best communities to like raise a family and build a company for sure.
Well, I do want to shift a little bit and kind of let everyone know a little bit more about the Accelerator details. Again, this is all available over on our site, but just for everyone listening here. Applications are open and they're open through January 27th at midnight. It is an 8-week program in the spring and it is remote friendly. We definitely would love to have as many Heartland founders as possible. But if you're not and you can't travel to Arkansas for our weekly sessions, it is very remote friendly. We've believed that since day one. You do also get a $10,000 stipend. We'll have lots of mentors, founders themselves, industry leaders, definitely lots of perks when it comes to space to work in, discounts, our online platform. And then, yes, we are going to end it with a weekend retreat in Bentonville. I know that FemHealth founders are working to make it a great weekend for the founders, but also our mentors and capital access providers that will be invited and lots of introductions made that weekend and throughout the program.
Let's cover frequently asked questions.
Oh, you got some questions already.
Am I too early? Am I too late? We actually work with people that are super early, all the way to people that have already maybe even exceeded their $1 million in revenue. So we try to customize the program based on where you are and what you're building and what struggles you're facing. It is competitive, but it's only because there's only so many companies that we can help through a cohort.
And don't be too worried about the rules. I think so many women are worried about following the rules and, waiting until everything's perfect. Don't do that.
If in doubt, apply.
One must champion oneself and say, I am ready for this.
Are we, going to look at the funding stage as a component of the application?
fundraising is great. And oftentimes, depending on the type of company that you are building, you're going to need to infuse capital, but we never look at that as a success mechanism. We will introduce you to investors. We will talk about venture capital if that's the route that you choose to go to. But some of us don't want that. There's federal programs that actually provide a lot of funding that's non-dilutive, non-equity based. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about traditional capital access through banks, loans, and all of that. We'll talk about revenue-based financing. We're not a cookie cutter program. We try to cover all of the options that you have so that you can choose the one that works better for you and how you want to build.
There's just so many options.
And I will say we do have a question in there for funding, but that's just purely for metrics to figure out where everyone is.
I need more information.
So the things that we assess when we're looking at companies is, one, how strong is a team in terms of like, do you really understand the problem? Are you really committed to, figuring out a solution that actually works for women's health? Is it a diverse team in terms, not just in obviously gender and ethnicity and race, but also in how you complement each other, right? We also accept solo entrepreneurs too, though. We really base it on the solution and the team and whether or not we believe we can actually help based on what your gaps are.
I'm here to present my application.
Part of the application process is just to submit a 1-minute video, just telling us a little bit more about yourself, maybe something that wasn't covered in the application, something that we need to know, why you're invested in this. I will just say, we do have a lot of applications to look through, so just please keep it within that minute.
And don't overthink it. Do it on your phone. Like, we're just trying to get to know you.
Why don't I tell you what my greatest weaknesses are? I work too hard, I care too much, and sometimes I can be too invested in my job.
How rigorous is this 8-week program, and how committed do you need to be to this process?
It's as intense as you want it to be. We'll offer you a lot of resources. We'll offer you a lot of content. We'll offer you a lot of office hours with mentors. Those are optional. Now, what's not optional are a couple of things. You do have to show up to every weekly session because it's so short. And because we do call it Accelerator, it's because we move fast. We really do want you to be committed to going into those weekly sessions. The other thing we want you to commit to is at the end of the program to come have fun with us in Northwest Arkansas. You're going to get to meet a lot of people, not just investors, but just stakeholders in our community, people that are interested in seeing women-led companies in the health space thrive.
We understand flexibility in terms of the program, but we do want commitment to your company. So we do want founders that are invested in actually growing their companies. I think that's the whole point of this.
If you have additional questions that we didn't cover today, there is a frequently asked question page in our site. If you still don't see them in there, drop them in the comments so that we are covering all and any of your questions.
We do want to switch this over to just a little fun round just to get to know us a little better. We are missing a member of the crew. Chris couldn't be with us today, but you've all seen him in our other videos reluctantly on social media in our sessions. So we share so many missions and values already. So let's see how compatible we really are. Who is most likely to get cranky when they're hungry?
No, because I never eat. So.
And Elizabeth and I are always like, we need to go eat right now. Where can we go eat? Like we're done. Like we can't do anymore. But April, yeah, I've never even seen you eat. You're superhuman.
Chris is the hangry one on our side. And he can't deny it because he's not here. He didn't show up. So we're just gonna put these all on Chris. Who is most likely to cry during a sad movie?
I cry on sad commercials. So.
I was going to say, I cry when a song comes on the radio that I really like. I teared up earlier during this conversation.
I'm in touch with my emotions for sure. Who is most likely to forget to text back?
April. Although it's just, she's always like, I am in the pickup line or I'm working with a client. I will get back to you. And she always does. I'm the person without the iPhone. So yeah, I can't like anyone's text.
I'm right there with you, Natalie. From our side, who would that be, Erica? Yeah, I mean, I think we're all, we all get to that point. I'm probably mostly when it comes to the weekend, I will probably just slowly dip out. Yeah, I think we're all a little bit bad about that. All right, we're going to switch to a rapid fire. Pineapple pizza or candy corn?
Oh, pineapple pizza, 1,000,000%. Candy corn's disgusting.
Talking pets or talking babies?
Talking babies.
See the future or change the past?
see the future.
Massive success by accident or moderate success, but on purpose?
Moderate success on purpose.
More time or more money? I'd probably stick with more time. I feel like there's never enough time for things. What was your first job?
I worked at the front desk of a laundry place. So I learned that people don't always clean their pockets when they're dropping off their laundry for somebody else to clean it. One time I found a Coke bag, too much information. And I put it back so that they knew that they left that on there.
Check your pockets at home, whether you're cleaning your laundry at home or you're
especially if somebody else is doing it for you.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Reality TV.
Any specific show? I can think of one network, but any specific show?
Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Okay. I have not gotten into that one, but I am into the Potomac one. Those are intense. No shame. There's no shame. What game show would you like to appear on?
Jeopardy. I do love Jeopardy. I've played it since I was really little. Wait, isn't it gone now? They don't even have it anymore, do they?
Oh,
Blossom is hosting it now.
So I could still appear on it one day.
Do you believe in ghosts?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I share lots of witchy shit with these ladies, and they probably think I'm crazy, but it works. I think the universe appreciates my recognition of the spirit world, which is why I'm here today. They're just trying to figure shit out, and they have some unfinished business, or they're trying to send us helpful messages.
What would your 12-year-old self say about what you're doing now? This is not what we had planned. I had like a whole plan when I was 12. I'm a Virgo, so whole plan when I was 12, and then plans completely switched when Chris and Erica told me about this. But I used to want to be an interpreter, help kids learn English and then vice versa, Spanish. And so that whole building bridges aspect, I still take that with me. And what we're doing now, super proud of what we're doing. What is one good thing that happened either today or this week?
We got another commitment for our fund from an LP.
We just got another commitment from a retailer this week. I'm excited, but also scared. So this is me celebrating.
My baby slept in until, and I say that he slept a normal amount of sleep this week while my husband was out of town. He slept till 6:15 a.m., which is leaps and bounds better than what he's been doing.
Well, we're over strep in our house, which is a big win.
We found a daycare that was open this week. So good thing in that sense, because we desperately needed that. A little sad in terms of just moving on to this next step, but definitely good place. So it has been such a great conversation, getting to know more about you three ladies, more about the mission. And I think people will definitely see we're in line and on the same page in terms of everything that we want to accomplish for women in this space, women founders, women as a whole. But just to wrap this up, I'd love to hear just briefly from you all in terms of what your hopes are for the future of women's health.
For women's health, it touches everything. It's the foundational piece to all of the other things, and seeing society truly transform in a positive direction. Health is fundamental to our success. And so I am so excited to see us starting what may feel like is really small, but the impact we've already had. I'm most excited about really seeing a shift and driving women's rights and empowerment and economic mobility from this space.
I also hope that what we're doing emboldens women to actually talk about the issues that they're facing. Let's get rid of the stigma around what happens to our bodies and what our bodies need. Everybody's journey is different. Women's health journey is really complex, and we need complex solutions.
I'm just excited to see women's health investment become as popular as tech investments now.
Thank you to everyone that watched this whole video. Thank you for getting to know not just Stitch Crew, but also FemHealth founders. We're super excited about this partnership. If you are a women founder in this space, go to stitchcrew.com, reach out to us, share in the comments. We'll be releasing another update soon, but just stay in touch and follow us so you can learn more about all the crazy good things that's going to be going on in 2023 and beyond.